hard to use, do you use it again?
No.
No. So our job is to try and make it as easy as possible for you to use these websites. Okay? So that's what we do.
Yeah, you could go ahead and do that. Awesome.
I've never touched a smartboard, so I'm pretty excited about it. All right, so when did you first become interested in programming? I started very, very young. I think I was actually in 8th grade when I first started programming. It was just something that I learned. There was a boy in my class who knew how to type words and numbers into the computer, and lines and circles happened on the screen, and I was fascinated by the idea that I could write something, hit enter, and see something happen, right? And so you guys are growing up in a world where that's a lot more normal, right? But when I was a kid and like dinosaurs were running around, like that wasn't so normal, right? It was pretty exciting stuff. The computers that we had, there was no laptops, there was no cell phones, there was none of that stuff. So it was really fun to actually see a computer do something cool like that. So that's when I first got interested in programming. How did I learn to program? Well, when I learned to program, there wasn't a lot of resources. There was not innovation classes. No one was taking the time like Mrs. Graham to teach kids how to do these things. Mostly because we, as a country and as humans, were just inventing it, right? So computers were just kind of coming onto the scene and being able to solve real world problems in our lives. So I learned kind of on my own, for the most part. I did a lot of asking questions and listening and learning. And here's the one part that we'll talk about a little bit later too. I did a lot of failing. You know why I failed a lot?
Why?
Because I tried, right? And that's the key, right? The key is that you try, and then you either succeed or fail, and you learn from that, right? When you try something, there's only two outcomes. Either you succeed or you fail. But in either case, you learn from it and then reapply it as you try next time, right? The key is just to keep trying. And so that's how I learned to program. You guys have a lot more opportunity because you're getting taught very young how to do these things and how to interact with the world around you with these skills. All right, did you consider coding ability, do you consider coding ability to be a superpower? Yes. Yes, of course, right? I can't shoot spider webs out of my hands, okay? But I can sit down and I can work on any website, and that skill is something that not everyone has, right? Not only that, but it allows me to change the world around me. When I see a website that doesn't work well or an app that doesn't work well, I have the ability to change it, right? The ability to maybe create something better, okay? So, I do consider it a superpower, maybe not one that you would see in a comic book, though. Okay. What is the coolest thing you've been able to use your coding powers on? Well, coolest thing is, who's ever heard of Time Life magazine? Okay, it's a very popular magazine. Time magazine's been around for a long time. I was able to do a very big project on their website to help it work there. So what they do is they have a lot of photos from history. Okay, they have photos of like John F. Kennedy, and photos of President Reagan, and photos of the moon, and photos of, and these are all part of our American culture, right? And Time magazine harnesses all those photos. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to put them on the internet so anybody could see them and then purchase them. And so I helped them with a very big project to make that happen. And I had to go down to New York City, and I went down to this huge building, and it was like 35 stories up, and I had all these meetings, but it was actually a really, really fun experience. But that's the coolest thing I think my superpowers have been used on. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
How has learning to program code changed how you look at the world? I think having the ability to see how decisions are made, and I'll come back to why decision making is a part of this, okay? But having the ability to see that has helped me look at the world and understand why things do the things that they do, okay? If you understand what's behind it, behind anything, okay, for example, when you turn the lights off, you flip the switch, right? Electricity stops, lights go up. Makes sense, right? But now that I know coding and programming, I understand the inputs, so the flip of the switch. I understand the outputs, so the lights being on or off. Okay, and so I look at the world differently now because I understand what makes it work. And we would really like, I know Mrs. Graham would really like to teach you guys how the world works. And especially how it works in terms of the computers and devices that you're gonna be interacting with as you get older. Because if you have that skill, if you have that ability, if you focus really hard and learn what she's teaching you, you're gonna have a really good opportunity to make a life for yourself and for a family maybe, doing these and using this skill. Because it's gonna be in high demand as you get older. Make sense? What is one important thing kids think about as they learn to program? Okay. Try, and it's okay to fail. Okay? Right? Here's the thing. Failure and success are an outcome of trying. Okay? Now, if everybody stopped when they failed, they would never learn how to correct their mistake, right? And to come back and to do it better next time. Coding is the exact same way. Especially coding where you might not necessarily know if something's going to work. What do you have to do? You just try, right? And I want you guys to make sure you understand that the most important thing I can tell you is that it's okay. It's okay to fail, especially as you're trying, right? And then as you gain that learning and understanding, wait a minute, if I put this number here, or if I change this word there, then this happens on the screen. So the output is there, and then you learn, wait a minute, if I can put that on the screen, then maybe I can make that happen in my robot. Maybe I can make that happen on my app, or whatever it is. Does that make sense? But, so what I want you to understand the most is, don't be discouraged, okay? The only way that you really fail is if you give up. That's the only way you really fail. You just keep trying and learning. Make sense? Pretty simple? You guys can do that. All right. Questions? We'll start here.
You worked on Time Life magazine. I can't even remember. It's just you worked on it. Was it like, did you have to do certain things that would be hard or something like that?
Yeah, we had to do some pretty hard things. We had to look at how people wanted to buy pictures on the internet. And we had to study how do they do that, how would they want to do that. So we had to bring people in and we had to ask some questions. What would you expect to see on Time Life magazine? What would you expect to happen when you clicked on a picture? How would you want to get that picture? Would you want to just be able to download it? Would you want to be able to have a print made of it? Would you want to put it on a mug or a keychain or a t-shirt? All of those things we had to think about. And then all of those decisions and answers then helped define our project. And so once we had our project defined, then we could actually go build it. Because just as important it is to build awesome stuff, is that you have to plan to build awesome stuff too. That's a part of it. I'll go in the back here.
Did you, how many sellers did you have? How many people bought the brand that you were selling?
Sure.
And where was it? And where did you put it on?
Yeah, good question. All right, so Time Life magazine receives probably around 10 million people visiting their website every week. 10 million people every week, okay? So that's like 500 million people in a year, something like that. Okay, so it's a super lot of people. That's kind of the other cool part about my job is, even though I'm just here with you and we're just doing, coding and I go across the street and I do that, my work touches millions of people every day, okay? And that's kind of cool. Because I want to make their lives easier, and even in my small way, if I can make the way that their experience on the internet better, then I feel like I can help them have a better day. And if I'm helping everybody, millions of people have a better day, then I think I'm doing a good thing in the world. And then your question of where was that at? It was on their website. It was on Time Life magazine's website. It was actually time.com. Yeah, Tyler.
Why did you want to start coding?
I'll tell you a secret. I didn't. My mom was kind of a coding nerd. I didn't know this, right? When I was growing up, I didn't really pay attention to what my mom did for a job, but she wrote in these really old languages on these really old computers for insurance companies. And as I got older, I would see her working on these green screens, and I told myself, I'm never going to do that. I'd rather be a garbage man than, not that being a garbage man is a bad thing, by the way. But anyways, that's what I was thinking. But it was only as I got older that I realized I had a gift. I had the ability to do this. I had the fearlessness that it took to get in and try and try and try and learn, and I learned really well. So then I decided, why not just embrace it? Just make this my career, make this my choice. And I did, and my life's been pretty awesome ever since.
Can I ask, how did your mom get interested in that? Because that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. She actually went back to school, and learned COBOL, which was the language that she learned of. And crazy stuff, the printers and things that she would program. I mean, to just make something print. This is 80s, this is 1980s, okay? Just to make something print, somebody had to write a mile of code just to make things translate to the printing machines. And the printers were dot matrix printers, so it was like they printed dots, and then they go to another line and print a dot, and this paper would just come out. It was super slow. You guys would never have been patient enough to handle something being printed out. Nowadays, you just hit the button, print, and it prints, right? You don't even think about it. That's how far advanced technology has gotten. Yeah.
My name is Nate, but my nickname is Nate, and my real name is Nathan.
I like it. My real name's Nathaniel, but I've been called Nathan, then I go by Nate. So us Nates stick together. Got another one?
Yes, what would you, like, what dream would you have to make something of your own? What would you like to make, like, if it had to be, like, something that you coded?
Myself? Yeah.
What would you like?
Good question. I think this is a really good question for you guys to understand. My dream is, I'm living it. My dream is I wanted to create my own company. And with my own company, I could make my own choices. I could choose how to treat my employees. I could choose all of those things. And for you guys, well, I'll finish it. My dream is still to continue to have my own website, right? That provides for people's families and that is a viable business and actually works and sells things that people want. And you guys can do that too. You can think about, as I get older, maybe there's something that you would like to do or create a website for, right? And that you can apply these skills to doing that and having your own business or being part of a business that operates a website or that sells something to someone through an app or a website or something like that.
Should we go through names? Do you own the company, or is like you're just like kind of like the second manager?
Yeah, so there's me and one other person that own the company. We're what you would call partners. Yep. So he started part of the business, and we actually have part of our company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then we have the bigger part of the company here in Minnesota that I started.
I have a question. When you get stuck on a problem
Yeah.
at your office, what do people do? How do they figure out the problem?
Good question. All right, so let's say that they've been trying and failing, right, to try and solve a problem, or to get something to look a certain way on the internet, right? So one of the first things that they're going to do is probably go to Google. Google has an enormous amount of information to help, and you could say, has anyone else had this problem before? And it might come back with some results that will help you. The other really cool thing about working in a company where there's 20 of us by each other is that we can say, hey, 2 or 3 of my friends, come over here. I'm working on this problem and it's not working how I think it should. And just their ideas and sharing the problem with them allows us to collaborate on the solution. Does that make sense? So I think that's two core methods of solving it. At sometimes, if we're working in a technology that has another company behind it, for example, we are a Google partner. We're partners with Google Analytics, and Google Analytics helps measure every website in the world. It's pretty fantastic, and we've been a partner for a long time. So if I have a problem working with Google, I actually have someone at Google that I can call and they can help me. So sometimes there's a third option where we've got support from the company or the software that we're working with. Yeah, Kyla.
How long have you been working for the company?
Great question. I just celebrated my 7-year anniversary last week working at Trinity Insight.
Congratulations, Jackson.
It's the longest I've ever worked in a job.
Do you know everything there is to know about coding?
Absolutely not. Okay? Now here's the thing. I know a lot. But more importantly, I know how to figure things out. And that's one of the important things that we wanna make sure that you get out of this class, especially in innovations, is that you guys understand that problem solving is the number one skill that you need when coding or working with technology, okay? Because sometimes you might, on code.org, you can do some drag and drop things. Maybe in another one, you have to type some stuff out. See, that what changes is what we're typing or what we're working in. But what doesn't change is that you have to think through your steps. What's going to happen? What should happen next? What will happen after that happens? And thinking through all of those things and asking those questions, that's problem solving, okay? And that's what I think is most important for you guys to understand when working with these technologies.
Any other questions? And Jackson's dad will still be here while we're on the computers too, so if you think of any more questions, you can ask him then too, okay? All right, what